What up, Soulja Boy? This is Acid Roots. We're going to talk about his 2008 album, ISouljaBoyTellEm. So, with this release, what I have found is that the songs are good, but it's not quite as good as his first album. Now, the fact that it came immediately after that one comes as a good idea of how easily people can put out music if they want to. But the thing is that it doesn't, it's not about making the music. It's about timing and whether or not it's a success. These are the two big things that matter. And Soulja Boy was on fire if you paid attention to 2008. I mean, he had like 4 or 5 radio singles from his 2007 album. So he was raring to go on this one, and by the end of that year, he had dropped it. So, what I thought initially about this album is it seems to me that Soulja Boy, when he doesn't really, he's more fun to me when he is not like paying attention. So, really these songs that he does without trying and just he makes out of nowhere, like Rubber Bands, Gucci Bandana, these are some big ones that, they're different from his 2007 album just because it's not based on minimal production and those sorts of things. So obviously the success was well in his life at that point in time, but at the same time, it results in some more interesting songs. So some of the good ones would be like With My Yums On, Shopping Spree, Go Ahead, Rubber Bands. I'll list the better songs. I'm just trying to give you right off the bat the difference between this album and his last one and his first one. So you can smoke to this. I'd say Birdwalk, Turn My Swag On, Rubber Bands, Shopping Spree. These are some really good smoking songs. And they just kind of involve the sort of thing as if like the sound that he was making was always going to be there. And that's just something I'm going to let you notice because 2008 has changed, and some of the stuff that was big around that time, now these guys are struggling to put out records, and just listening to this sort of stuff, yeah, they're still rich, but the days where these guys were trending topics and anyone besides the hardcore would listen to them, that's just becoming less and less and less. And when you look at someone like trying to think, like Kelly Ripa came to my mind, or like Kelly Clarkson, or you know Jennifer Aniston, or some people like that. These guys are not necessarily on their mind, and so that is the true message of this album. Just because as much as I like rap, I do like things that when I talk about them, I don't look like an obsessive fanatic. Just, and I don't mind that. I mean, trust me, I'm as screwed up in the head as anyone, and I'm aware of that. But it just gets to a point where you want to be able to talk about stuff that everyone's going to know about. And so that's like the main purpose of my channel, is to bring out these things so you realize what you missed out on. And so this album, when it gets to that, the answer with it is just the stuff that you missed out on if you may not have picked up this release, is just that this is the trick, is just that it feels some of these songs do not feel as heavy as the first album, but at the same time, the production is better. So you just get more songs. It does feel kind of young, but the topics are better. And it just happens to be like I guess the easiest thing to say is he just got better at album cuts. Like those records you hear when you just, like, let's say it's Halloween or something and you guys are really, really smoking. You'd hear a Soulja Boy record and then you'd say, wow, I've never heard this song, but I want to hear it like 10 or 12 more times. Those are album cuts, and Soulja Boy got better at those because I did like his 2007 album, and I'm going to give it a higher score, but just this one is easier on the ears. There's just not enough of those songs that are easier on the ears, so you just, it's two of one thing and a pair of the other, whatever that saying is. But yeah, so that's the weakness to it. And if I haven't said it, you can smoke to this. I'll say it again. I'll just list the songs that are unheard. So there are 16 songs on this album, and the ones that I liked were only about 6 of them. So, 6. And I was thinking of a video, if you've ever seen Cassidy's first song, R. Kelly doing that 6 in the morning. So yeah, there's 6 songs, and there's actually a couple almost songs, and out of 16, this results in about a little bit less than half the album. So we'll get right to them. Birdwalk, Gucci Bandana, Rubber Bands, With My Yums On, Go Ahead, Shopping Spree. These are the ones, Shopping Spree. These are the ones that have the most immediate production, and you're just gonna feel like, it's just gonna feel as if you have the intention of smoking today. Just like, I don't have anything to do, I'm gonna laze back, I've got a Swisher Sweet, something of that mentality, just thinking about, you just have to picture what someone who was 18, 19, 20 was doing, and then translate that to your own age, and you're ready to go. It's essentially what it is. I know it may seem kind of trendy and preteen type, or, young set, but, the stuff he was actually talking about was not necessarily like that. That's the only real jump that you're going to have to make, is just wondering if you're too old for this. So, other than that, but the 2 almost songs are Turn My Swag On, which I couldn't quite convince myself to like, but I still halfway did. And the other one is Kiss Me Through the Phone. Now, so this song was, I think this is one that Soulja Boy is pretty known for. So, like, you just, I wasn't really feeling it that much. It felt really past my age. I mean, I feel like I'm not in that age group, but still a good song. So those are just some of the ones to look for. All right, I kind of recommend this release, but I don't quite want to, is because 6 out of 16 is not that outstanding, and those 2 almost songs don't really help that much. So I'm gonna give it like a 5 out of 10. I know that's higher than normal, but a 4.5 kind of makes it seem as if it's not that. So I guess I'll give it a 4.5. But if I like the almost songs, it'd be a 5.5. So the future Soulja Boy hasn't really dropped albums, but he's been dropping free ones or something like that. But he has, well over 24 mixtapes out, so you could just check some of that stuff out. I don't know how official they sound, and the this complete shrink wrap package mint stuff, but it's new music from him. Now, is this album social? I will give it a 6 social, just because the crowd that initially enjoyed him will probably still look to these numbers and say they're pretty good. But, beyond like those songs, I would have liked to have seen like some evolved. I would have liked to have seen like some more of the songs that he did, because he could have. I mean, this is the stuff he talked about: rubber bands, with my yums on, shopping spree, bird walk. He could have easily come up with another 3 to 5 ideas like this and filled it out. But it's mainly just due to the production that I didn't like these releases. So that's just one thing to look for. But yeah, I mean, so pretty much this album's only weakness is just if you do not like the age, if you don't like the setting of how it makes you feel, if you may have outgrown it, that's something you're going to have to work on. But I will say it's good music, so give it a shot. Definitely some smoking stuff, and that, should be a big component, trust me. But alright, give this album a 4.5 out of 10 and a 6 social.